First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News, First at 5. I'm Samantha Narson.
And I'm Sofia Mingote. Thanks for joining us. Local history is making its way to the classrooms. The Newberry lynchings is now part of Alachua County's public schools curriculum. WUFT's Alexus Cleavenger went to find out how this curriculum will impact the future of education and joins us to tell us all about the change.
Since 2017, the city of Newberry has worked to engage in a process of truth and reconciliation. Educating students on local history is a priority of community members. Today, I found out how this new curriculum will impact the future of students' education.
While a very dark piece of history happened right outside Gainesville, it has always lived behind closed doors. Recent efforts have tried to put even more history behind those doors.
Makes me sick.
But that won't stop 83-year-old Vivian Filer from opening the eyes of young children. Filer has made it her life's work to educate people of all ages about Black history.
The governor can censor the schools, but can't censor me. They can't censor my museum. They can't censor Black churches. And so we're going to fight to keep them from censoring because all children need to know.
Now she has an ally in Newberry Mayor Jordan Marlowe. In a joint effort with Alachua County Public Schools, he is bringing local history to the forefront.
This allows us to see the connection between the past and the present. It allows us to reshape how we're perceiving national conversations, and it allows us to be better at having those conversations so that we can work towards a more united tomorrow.
The curriculum is designed to simply tell the facts.
The idea is not to make white children feel bad, because we didn't do it. This is history. We're talking facts here.
The curriculum is polarizing among students and teachers.
The team that designed the curriculum crafted a letter to warn parents that the history presented cannot be fully understood without discussions of racial violence. Public schools curriculum specialist John Rem helped design the curriculum. He says part of the objective is preventative.
You know, we're not saying in any way, shape, or form that anybody living today is responsible for any of those things. We're simply trying to get the fact that people did do those things in the past, and we want to make sure those things don't happen again in the future.
Filer hopes with continued efforts to highlight local history, this curriculum will be able to keep all doors open.
All students enrolled in American history and African American history will have access to the textbook.
Rainbow family members and Marion County Sheriff's deputies bowed heads yesterday in prayer at a vigil for Larry Frank Duggar. Just days after the one-year anniversary of his death, a dozen people gathered at the sheriff's office to pray for resolution in Duggar's murder case. Duggar was killed during last year's Rainbow Gathering in the Ocala National Forest. Sheriff Billy Wood says they've had decent cooperation, but the leads they've followed have not solved the case. Woods and a pair of deputies joined hand and prayed with the group.
In Dade City, witnesses are testifying about what they remember happened at the movies 8 years ago. That's when a retired Tampa cop shot and killed a man during an argument over the man's cell phone use. Curtis Reeves is charged with murder in the shooting death of 43-year-old Chad Olson. Some recall the light of a cell phone, or Reeves storming out and coming back, or popcorn flying and the sound of a gunshot. Reeves is now 79 and has been on house arrest leading up to the long-delayed trial. Some witnesses have expressed frustration. They no longer remember how they described it in 2014.
The state of Florida is the prescribed fire capital of the country.
WUFT's Isabella Leandri tells us about the fires native to Alachua County.
There was a prescribed fire at Longleaf Flatwoods Reserve in Hawthorne Tuesday. The fire was conducted by the St. Johns River Water Management District.
We're a regulatory agency. We deal with wetland permitting, water quality and quantity protection. And we also, as part of our core mission, manage the natural systems that we own.
This is 180 acres out of the total 2.1 million that will be burned in the state of Florida this year. The Austin Cary Forest conducts its own prescribed fire.
Behind me is a prescribed fire. The forest is given a prescription from the state of Florida to conduct these burns for research and education.
A prescribed fire is a controlled burn used for educational purposes to reduce wildfires and benefit the environment. Hope Miller, a graduate student at the University of Florida's School of Forest, Fisheries, and Geomatic Sciences, spends her days studying these fires.
I have what my mentor calls the fire bug. On my first fire, I was hooked and definitely found every opportunity to get involved.
Hope says Florida is perfect for these kinds of fires.
It's because we have really good weather for it and really easy topography. It's really flat. We don't have to worry about hills and stuff like that.
The St. Johns River Water Management District hopes to conduct as many burns as possible this year.
You know, we're always shooting for that, you know, to get as close as we can to that ecological need.
Prescribed fires will continue to be a valuable method to preserving Florida's environment. Isabella, Leandri, WUFT News.
The St. Johns River Water Management District plans to conduct another burn tomorrow.
It's been nice and warm today.
I know, right? It was nice to leave my jacket at home this morning. WUFT's Ashley Weinstein joins us now with our first look at weather.
Yes, I enjoyed my walk into the studio this afternoon. Look at these partly cloudy skies, but they're clear for the most part in regards to rain. We do have these puffy cumulus clouds, which are a foreshadow for some rain we'll be receiving later in the week. But right now we're sitting at 73 degrees. Feels like 73, and that's due to this southeasterly wind flow. And as those winds become southerly, we're going to be getting even warmer tomorrow. Look at this 24-hour temperature change. We're nearly 15 degrees warmer in many areas of our region than we were yesterday. 11 degrees warmer in Gainesville, 12 degrees warmer in Bronson, and 10 degrees warmer in Ocala than we were yesterday. And for the rest of our evening through dinner time and through early tomorrow morning, temperatures not getting out of the 50s. Back to the desk.
Disney says masks can come off for vaccinated guests at Disney World. Starting tomorrow, vaccinated guests get the option of pocketing their mask in most locations. All visitors will still be required to wear masks when riding in closed transportation, like the monorail or buses. And those not fully vaccinated will be asked to keep wearing masks in all indoor locations.
Since there were predictions a Russian invasion might come today, Ukraine is coping with a day of unity.
The West says Russia is sending mixed messages about what's next. Coming up next, we'll get an update from Washington on the Ukraine crisis. Stay with us for that story and more political news.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
U.S. officials are pushing back against Russian claims that they're withdrawing troops from Ukraine's borders.
Meanwhile, Ukrainians are celebrating a day of national unity as they brace for what's next. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Cautious hope and broad skepticism today as Russia says it's pulling more forces back from Ukraine's borders and releasing state video that has not been confirmed by satellite images. Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying the U.S. needs to see proof.
There's what Russia says and then there's what Russia does, and we haven't seen any pullback of its forces. They remain massed in a very threatening way along Ukraine's borders.
In fact, he says,
we continue to see critical units moving toward the border, not away from the border.
The NATO Secretary General echoing that message.
Actually, what we see is that Russian troops are moving into position.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin meeting with NATO allies today, strategizing how to defend member nations in Eastern Europe. More American troops now heading to Poland, part of the roughly 5,000 deployed overall, along with forces from several European countries. President Biden speaking with the Chancellor of Germany today after stressing yesterday that the threat of a Russian invasion remains real, citing some 150,000 Russian troops massed along Ukraine's borders.
We are doing everything we possibly can to seek to find a peaceful resolution to the crisis Moscow has needlessly precipitated.
In Ukraine, flags flying for a day of national unity as President Volodymyr Zelensky says his people want only to live in peace. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
President Joe Biden is directing the National Archives to send White House visitor logs under the Trump administration to the January 6th committee. The Biden White House is rejecting former President Trump's claims of executive privilege. The January 6th committee is trying to piece together information on events leading up to the Capitol riot and exactly what happened throughout that day. Though Trump favored privacy over visitor logs, the Biden administration discloses them each month, a practice followed by the Obama administration. The January 6th committee is going after phone records for an employee of radio host Alex Jones. In a court filing, Jones revealed that AT&T notified his security guard Timothy Enlow about the subpoena. Enlow was with Jones in the Capitol on January 6th of last year. Jones appeared before the committee last month but pled the fifth to most questions. He's now seeking to add Enlow to his lawsuit against the committee.
On a trip to Israel, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi described the relationship between the United States and Israel as ironclad. The California Democrat led a congressional delegation to Israel Wednesday, the first stop on a tour that will also include visits to Europe. The visit to Israel is Pelosi's first in 2 years and comes amid differences between the nations on how to limit Iran's nuclear capability. The next stops are in Germany and the United Kingdom. The death toll from devastating mudslides in Brazil has reached 58. The area around Petropolis, a mountain city, was slammed by a downpour yesterday. The mayor says the number of dead could rise as searchers pick through the wreckage. The governor is sending in soldiers and heavy machinery to help dig out the buried areas. Back in 2011, the region suffered 900 deaths when a single day brought a month's worth of rain. Yesterday brought 10 inches of rain in just 3 hours, almost as much as during the previous 30 days combined. It's dry and warm in north central Florida today.
Surprisingly hot today. Our campus cam is showing mostly sunny skies as we head into the evening. When we come back, Ashley Weinstein will have your full forecast.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Let's take another look at our campus cam. Again, we have those puffy cumulus clouds, which are foreshadowing some rain we're going to see later in the week. But our southeasterly winds becoming southerly tomorrow are going to raise those temperatures even higher than they were today. Temperatures right now in our region are looking warmer than normal for this time of year. 75 in Gainesville, 76 in Ocala, and 72 in Stark. Now tonight is not going to be as cold as we've seen it the past couple of nights and the past couple of weeks. Temperatures are not going to be getting out of the 50s, which is actually going to feel quite nice if you want to go on an early morning walk. You might just need a jacket. 57 in Gainesville, 58 in Ocala, and 57 in Stark. Now tomorrow morning it is going to be partly cloudy, and those clouds are going to be increasing throughout the day, but we're flirting with the mid 80s. It's going to be near 80 by lunchtime, a great day to eat lunch outside, and again increasing clouds by 4 p.m. Now Friday we do have a cold front passing late morning, and I'm going to play this out for you here. Ahead of that cold front we have some activity. We see these green cells. There could be a rumble of thunder or two, but nothing to be too concerned about. And again, that front is going to be out of our hair by late Friday morning, early Friday afternoon. Still a cell or two hanging out after that front passes us, so even into the afternoon and evening in Friday, I would definitely keep an umbrella handy. Again, here's play-by-play of that cold front. Thursday night, showers are possible. It'd be very late tomorrow night, likely after the midnight hour, so that's already moving into Friday morning, where the chances increase for rain early Friday morning right before that cold front passes, and that front again is expected to pass late Friday morning, which brings me to my 6-day outlook, where we see it's warm today and warm tomorrow, but that front is going to be passing on Friday. Again, ahead of that front, we are expecting some shower activity. Once that front passes late morning, early afternoon, we are going to see the chances for rain decrease. And now Saturday and Sunday, once that cold air mass comes through the area behind that cold front, we are going to see temperatures drop a bit, but rebounding near 80 degrees by early next week. So again, just make sure you have an umbrella handy with you through Friday morning and afternoon. Back to the desk.
The Gator women's basketball team has been on a roll.
It sure has. The Gators are returning home after 3 consecutive road games. Florida is undefeated on the road and has a chance to extend the win streak to 5 games tomorrow. We'll be right back for our local sports news with Lauren Cooney.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. I'm Lauren Cooney with your look at Gator sports. Tonight, the Florida softball team hopes to secure another victory over the Jacksonville University Dolphins. Last year at home, the Gators defeated the Dolphins twice, 1-0 in February and 5-1 in March. The 4th-ranked Gators blew out the Dolphins last night in Jacksonville with a score of 13-1. Freshman Reagan Walsh emerged as a star, getting the first home run of her career, a grand slam in the 4th inning. She finished the game with 6 RBI. The Gators are now 5-0 for their season, and the Dolphins are now 0-5. Tonight's game starts at 6 p.m., and you can listen to the call on WRUF AM. Moving on to basketball, last night the Florida men's team lost in the last minute to Texas A&M. The Aggies had been on an 8-game losing streak. They gained an early lead in the first half, keeping the Gators down 27-20 at the halftime. The game went down to the wire, but the Gators ended up losing 56-55, leaving the Gators 6-7 in SEC play.
Disheartening for our guys. As somber a locker room as I've been in for a while, because I think our guys know how hard they played, and you're up late, and you're a stop away or a missed free throw away.
Fans worry the NCAA tourney might be slipping away with such a tough schedule ahead. Up next, the Gators will host the 2nd-ranked Auburn Tigers on Saturday. Earlier in January, they lost to the Tigers 85-73. Tip-off is set for 2 p.m. on Saturday in the O-Dome, and that will be on ESPN. Over to the women's side, the 17th-ranked Gators are set to host the Arkansas Razorbacks tomorrow. Florida is coming off an 83-77 victory over the Auburn Tigers, making the Gators undefeated in SEC road play. This victory put them at 9-3 in the conference and 19-6 overall. The Razorbacks are also coming off a victory and are 6-5 in SEC play. Tomorrow night's game will be at 6 p.m. in Exactech Arena. In other women's basketball news, former Gator basketball star Delisha Milton-Jones was inducted to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Milton-Jones told Steve Russell on Sports Scene that she cried when she heard the news.
So filled with joy. There was a level of overwhelming peace that came over me, but just super excited that everything within my career manifested itself in that moment for me to say to myself, job well done.
Milton-Jones played for the Gators from 1993 to 1997. She was the first Florida player to be awarded All-American honors and led the Gators to compete in 4 NCAA tournaments. She was also the first player in program history to be awarded the Wade Trophy and the SEC Player of the Year. In her professional career, Milton-Jones played for the WNBA for 17 years. She won 2 WNBA championships with the Los Angeles Sparks and was a 3-time WNBA All-Star. She also won 2 Olympic gold medals with Team USA. Milton-Jones is now the head coach for Old Dominion's women's basketball team. That's your look at sports. Now back to the desk.
Thanks so much for that sports update.
Now it's time to toss it back to weather.
Let's take one last look at this front that is passing on Friday, late morning, early afternoon. Again, ahead of that front, we are expecting some rain activity, and once that front moves out of our area, we are going to have a cell or two sticking around. There could be a rumble of thunder or two as that front's passing, but through your afternoon and evening on Friday, you should be okay for just a spotty shower or two. Now for tomorrow, our temperatures are going to be quite warm, and again, that's because the southeasterly wind we're seeing today is becoming southerly, and we are getting into the mid-80s. Now let's take a look at our 6-day outlook. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Ashley. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
Remember, your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.